Hello, my dear students. Welcome to our English program intended for grade 12. Today, we shall study Module 3, Unit 9, and we're going to discuss grammatical notes mentioned in the unit. Also, we will talk about some language function activities and respond to some situations. Please have some papers and a pen ready to take important notes. We'll be back right after the break. Welcome back, students. As I told you before, we're going to focus on grammatical rules mentioned and presented in Unit 9. What we're going to have in the grammatical rules are about first of all, the causative verbs, and then we shall discuss and talk about use to. Then we will handle some functions or some situations to respond logically to them. Okay. Let's move and talk about the grammatical rules. All right. Okay. Causative verbs. What do I mean by causative verbs? Well, this is, as you know, is a form of passive voice. It's one way of changing into passive. However, it's not exactly the same rules when we move to passive and causative verbs. Now let's define what we mean by causative verbs. As you see, when I say causative verbs, it refers to an idea or the action is done for the subject, not by the subject. And why do you think it is called causative? Because the subject of the sentence caused the verb to happen. So we shall focus on the object and then the form of the causative verbs. Now, what we're going to see is how to form causative verbs correctly. Now let's see the form of causative verbs in all tenses. Now let's see. This is the form. Okay. Now this form, we will stick to this form when we change into causative verbs. It is usually have, followed by the object, and then we have the past participle. And as you know, have will not be fixed. It will change according to the tense of the sentence. For example, if I say, or if the sentence is past, you cannot say have. You will change have into had. If you're talking about present continuous, in this case, you will say is or are having. If you're talking about future, you will say will have. But what we have here is verb to have as an auxiliary, causative verb, and then we have the object followed by the past participle. All right, now let's have an example. I don't know how to repair my car. The question is, the subject is what? The subject is I. I don't know how to fix or how to repair my car. This means that he cannot do it, but he can cause the verb to happen. Now let's see. First of all, we have to focus on the object. The object here is my car. That's good. Now we want to change it and use causative form. Remember, it is have in the right tense, and then we have the object followed by the past participle of the verb. So I don't know how to repair my car should be I will have my car repaired at the garage. Now, look at the form. The first thing is have, and then it is followed by, very good, the object, which is my car, and then the past participle of the verb repair should be repaired. Now, these are the three main parts, have plus object plus past participle. Let's have another example to know how have would be changeable or would it change according to the tense of the sentence. Let's move to the next one. Okay, these steps are important. You just need to remember them and then we will follow them one by one. We have two important steps. if you have a sentence and you want to create or to use causative verbs, what should you do? The first step, as you see, the first step is to define the tense. What do I mean by the word tense? It means you decide if it is present or future or past. Why? Because we're going to change have as it suits or matches the verb. Then we find or identify the object. Remember, two things are important, the tense, and then you focus on the object. We shall have a good example of it, so try to focus. My sister did not paint the portrait. Now, what is the subject here? The subject is my sister. Did she do the verb? No, she didn't. So she needs someone to do it for her. That's why we say that it is causative. She will cause the verb to happen. Now, let's have a look. See, first, did not. Remember the two steps. Now, the first step is to identify the tense. When you see did not, which tense do you think it is? Did not means it's past. Very good. So we have decided the verb, or we have decided the tense. It is past. Let's move to step number 2, related to the object. The object is the portrait. So the portrait, this is the object. Now we shall use causative here. We know that the tense is past, and we know the object, which is my portrait, or the portrait. Let's see. She had the portrait painted. Now the question for you, just think about it. Why did we say had and we didn't say have? Simply because the tense is, very good, the tense is what? The tense is past. We cannot say have, but instead we will use the past tense, which is had, followed by the object, the portrait, and then painted. Had and painted. That's good. Now, let's move to another example. I don't change the oil of my car. Now, the subject here is I. Do you think that the person or the subject can change the oil of the car? Of course not. But he's going to change it or the oil of the car would be changed by someone else. That's why we say he caused the verb to happen. Now, remember the two steps. The first step is to identify the tense. Is it present or past or future? Now look at the sentence. What is the tense? Now I have the word don't. What do you think when I say don't? Which tense? Is it past? No, it is. It is present. Very good. Now we have decided the tense. Let's move to find the object. The object here of the sentence is the oil of my car. Now try to think about this. I'm just trying to remind you of the rule. We're going to use have plus the object plus the past participle. Now let's see. I have the oil of my car changed. That's great. So here I said, or here I wrote, I have. Why? Because I have the word don't, which means that I'm handling the simple present tense. Okay. I am not cutting my hair. The barber is. Okay. Can we cut our hair? Of course not. Here in the sentence, the subject is I. I am not cutting my hair. This means that the hair would be cut by someone else. And the causative verb here should be used. Have plus the object plus past participle. First, if you remember the two rules, what is the tense? Is it present or past? That's good. I'm not cutting. Think about that. I am not cutting. What is the tense here? Is it present or past? It is present. But what kind of present? Is it present simple or it is continuous? Now, let's see. It is very good. Present continuous, as you see, not cutting. I'm not cutting. Then the second step. Yes, very good. To find the object. Where is the object? Which one is the object? Yes, my hair. So my hair is the object. Now think about the answers. I am not cutting my hair. Now we want to use causative. Here we shall use the word have in the present continuous form. It should be am, is, are plus the verb have plus ing. Now let's see the answer. I'm having my hair cut. That's great. So what kind of a change did we make here? Did we use have? Of course we use it. We cannot ignore it. It's one basic part of the causative verb. Now see, we have am having. Why do I say am having? Because it is very good. This is present progressive or present continuous. And then we had the past participle. As you know, the word cut, this verb is the same form in the present, the past, and the past participle. We say cut in the present, then cut in the past, and it is cut also in the past participle. So this is present continuous. Let's move to have another look at another verb. An interior designer has decorated our house. Again, you should do it by yourself right now. Now, what is the first step, as I taught you? Yes, to decide what is the tense. Is it present or past? We have has decorated. Has decorated. What is the tense here? It is present perfect. Present perfect, as you know, it's have or has, and then we have the past participle. Now, this is present perfect. Now, what is the object? Yes, think about that. Yes, it's easy. Right after the verb, we have our house. Okay, now I want you to focus because we have two uses of have now. We're dealing with present perfect. That's why we use have as an auxiliary, helping verb, and we will also use have as part of the causative verb. Now, what do you think the answer is? Okay. We have had our house decorated. That's good. What I mean here, or this example, is especially for some of my students whom I know that they have some difficulty to imagine that when I say have had is wrong. Of course, it's completely right, 100%. Now we have present perfect, so we have the word have as the auxiliary, followed by the past participle of the auxiliary or of the causative verb, which is have. So we have had the house decorated. This is present perfect, and this is the past participle. That's good. We shall have another example. Try to focus. I want you to answer it by yourself. My brother isn't going to clean his jacket. My brother isn't going to clean his jacket. Now, what is the tense here? Present, past, future. Now look, we have isn't going to. When I say isn't going to do something, it's future, something that will happen. And then what is the object? The object is his jacket. Now think of this. We shall use causative here, but the causative verb have should be used in the future with is going to. How can we use causative here? We say what? My brother is going to have his jacket cleaned. All right. How did we form this? See, is going to, this is the future, and then we have the causative, have, and the object, his jacket, and the past participle of the verb, which is cleaned. All right. An engineer had rebuilt the hotel for the new owner. Again, an engineer had rebuilt. Okay, the tense is what? Present or past? Yes, it's past, but what kind of past? Is it past simple, or progressive, or perfect? It is good, past perfect. How can I know? Normally, past perfect is composed of had as an auxiliary, followed by the past participle of the verb. So the object is what? What is the object here? Think about that. Good, it is the hotel. So this is the object. Think about this. How can we use causative here? Yes? Very good. See? The new owner had the hotel rebuilt. Even though you see had, don't say it's wrong. It is completely right, 100%. But here we have past perfect. We use had as a helping verb plus the past participle of the causative verb, which is have. So we say had the hotel rebuilt. This is the past perfect and this is the past participle. Okay? All right. Now write down the follow-up sentences for the following sentences. Now think about that. Okay? It is a garage, and in this garage, I do not or I did not repair the car myself. So here, the subject caused the verb to happen. I did not repair my car. So how can we do it? Again, did not means the past. So we use have in the past form, which is had. Good. I had the car repaired. Okay, that's good. I think it's a little bit easier now. Now let's move to another example. She doesn't make her wedding dress. She doesn't make her wedding dress. So she needs someone else to make her wedding dress. Now we're going to use causative. Now we have doesn't make, which is present. As you know, have in the present form can either be have or has. Now think of the answer here. What do you think? She has her wedding dress made. Another example. He isn't going to take his photo himself. As you see, someone is going to take a photo for the subject. Now, the tense is, we have isn't going to. This is future. If you remember, how do we do it? How do we answer it? Yes, that's good. See? He is going to have his photo taken. Okay, one more example. My father won't clean the car himself. Okay, my father won't. When I say won't, this is future. So we shall use causative in the future. Won't means it's will plus not. How do we do it? Good. My father will have the car cleaned. Okay. Now, these are all the rules that can be applied to the use of causative. We're going to move to something else. Okay. Used to plus infinitive. When I say used to plus infinitive, the word infinitive, it means a base. What do I mean by a base? It means the verb in its first inflection. You don't add s, you don't add ed, ing, or any suffixes. It's just the base of the verb. Now, what does it mean when I say used to plus infinitive? Okay. Used to, as you know, it expresses an idea about a habit that happened in the past and stopped in the past. So something that I liked to do in the past, but now I don't do it. Let's see examples of it. Now look, my father used to eat meat, but now he is a vegetarian. Okay, look at this. My father used to eat meat. It means that he liked to eat meat in the past, but now he doesn't eat meat. That's why he is a vegetarian. See? Used to means in the past, but now we have is, which is the present. Another example. He used to be fat, but now she is thin. Sorry. She used to be fat, but now she is thin. Okay, how did she look like? How was she in the past? She was fat. That's why we say used to be. The question is she fat now? Of course not. She's not fat now. She is thin. This is the present. So when I say used to, I'm talking about past, habit, and it stopped, then in the present it's something else. One last example. There used to be a cinema in the town, but now there isn't. So in the past, there was a cinema. That's why we say used to be a cinema. Do we have a cinema right now at the present time? Of course not. That's why we say, but now there isn't. So this is the use or the function of used to plus infinitive. Let's see how we change it into negative. So because used to is in the past, normally we should use didn't. But as you know, when I say didn't, you cannot say didn't used, but you say didn't use to plus the infinitive. Now let's have an example. I used to drive to work. As you know, it means that in the past, I used to drive to work. So we want to change it into negative. How can I change it into negative? As you see the rule, we can use didn't plus used to plus the verb. I didn't use to drive to work. So the negative is didn't use to plus the infinitive. Let's have another form. It's about question. If you have used to in a sentence, actually used to plus the infinitive, and you want to ask a question about it, how do you think you can form this question? Did plus used to plus infinitive. Now let's have a good example of it. My kids used to watch cartoon stories when they were 6 years old. Notice, my kids used to watch cartoon stories when they were, this is past. Okay, you can do, or you can ask many questions, of course, but I shall focus on a question that asks about the cartoon stories. So how can we do it? How can we make a question? See, what did your kids use to watch when they were 6 years old? Well, this is actually the form of used to when we talk about the form of question. Okay, still we have one more point about used to, which is the passive. Now notice I mentioned before that causative is a form of passive, yet passive has another form. Here we shall use, as you see, when we use the passive voice or the passivization of the sentence, normally we start with the object and then used to plus be plus past participle. Should be this way. Okay? Now let's have an example. My little brother used to play the piano. My little brother used to play the piano. Okay, now we want to change it into passive. Normally we start with what? As you see the rule, we start with the object. Now, where is the object here? It's the piano. Now let's do it. The piano used to be played. That's good. We started with the object, which is the piano, and then we have used to. Then we added be plus the past participle of the verb, which is play should be played. Okay, so we have studied used to in its forms, negative, question, and the passive voice. That's for the grammatical rules. Now I shall move to another point. That's language functions. I know that this question is a kind of easy question for all my students, simply because it is related to real life situations. What I want you to know, or I want you to learn, is how to respond, how to give the right reaction or the right response. Now, we will have some situations. I want you to think of logical answers or logical response. This means that your response should be acceptable. Now, let's have a look and see. What would you say in the following situations? Your friend is going to have an interview for a new job tomorrow. Now, we have a situation here. Your friend is going to have an interview to get the new job. Well, what you should know is you should think logically, give logical answers or logical response. Number two, one situation may have more than one response, and they are all right, but as I told you, it should be logical. For example, here he's going to have an interview. What kind of functions or language can we use? Number one, we can use the language of advice. We can give advice. We will say it's better for you to go to the interview on time. This is one way of expressing or giving response. It's about advice. Is it only advice? No. You can also give another thing or another expression related to opinion. So you can either give advice, which is correct, or you can also give opinion. When you give your opinion, you may say, I think you should have, let's say, I think you should have self-confidence. So this is your opinion, which is correct. Is it all? No. We can also respond using suggestion. Now you can also give a suggestion. How do you express this? You say, I suggest. I suggest you sleep early to get up early. I suggest you get enough sleep. So either you can use advice or opinion or suggestion. All of them are correct, but you've got to be accurate when you give a response. Now, this is exactly what we're going to do with the other situations. Let's see. Your elder brother believes that life in the past was easier than our life at the present time. Now, the situation here carries 2 points, life in the past and life at the present time. What kind of language can we use here? We can use the language of comparing or comparison. Why? Because I have the past and the present. For example, we can say, in the past, life was easier, whereas, but, on the other hand, it's kind of comparison. On the other hand, life nowadays is, or at the present time, is more complicated. Is it only about comparing? Can we have another suitable logical answer? Yes, of course. Like what? We can use agreeing. So, if your elder brother believes that life was easier, you can agree. So, how do you express agreement? You can say, I agree with you. You're absolutely right. Of course, it's true. Is it only about agreement? Still, we have one more logical response. You may express disagreeing or disagreement. You may say, I disagree, I don't agree. So these answers or these responses are all logical and can be accepted. Another example, your father wants to know your plans after you finish secondary school. As you know, you are in grade 12. You shall soon finish the high school or secondary school. What are you going to do after this? Now, the right response is to express many things. For example, we can say, number one, we can express the planning. When I say planning, it means that it's something you have thought about it and you have decided to do it. That's why you plan to reach it. So you say, I'm planning to join Kuwait University. Is it only planning? No, we still have another response. Should be intention. Intention, it's something that you intend to do, something that you wish and hope to do. It's your intention. Now, you can say, I intend to study medicine. I intend to join the College of Medicine, for example. Let's have another one. You want to use your friends' smartphones. Okay, this is another easy question or another easy situation. You want to use your friend's smartphone. What do you think the right response should be? Number one should be a request. When you request something, you may say, can you, could you, will you, would you lend me your smartphone? Would you mind lending me your smartphone, your smartphone, please? Is it only about request? No, we can also have permission. When I say permission, you ask for permission. You want the owner of the smartphone to allow you, to permit you to use his or her phone. We say, may I use your phone, please? Can I use your phone, please? Or could I use your phone, please? Okay. Now, we have come to the end of our program today. As you see, we have commented, explained, and talked about the grammatical rules that were mentioned in Unit 9. We talked about causative verbs, and we explained the rule. Then we talked about use the to in its forms. And then we also have, as you see, we have talked about how to change it into passive form and how to make it negative or ask a question. Finally, we talked about different situations and how to respond logically to these situations. Now we have come to the end of our educational program. Thank you for watching and for your time. Till we meet again, thank you. Goodbye.